everybody. Today we are going to be starting our brand new series on the channel called How to Paint and then what we're painting. So today our first pilot episode will be how to paint U.S. Winter Infantry, and today we're going to be showing you how to take this metal figure in 28mm into a resounding miniature on the table. So without further ado, I would like to get started. We're going to do two. We'll do one in the gray coat, and we're also going to do one normal infantryman. And this series was somewhat inspired by another modeler's channel who does something called How I Paint Things. His name is Sonic Sledgehammer Studio. I will link his channel in the description. And without further ado, let's get started on the video. Our first step to getting our figure's table or shelf ready is we're going to want to put on a nice primer. It's kind of like a base coat. And most people do this with an airbrush or a spray can, but I don't have those. So I'm going to show you how to do it with brush on primer. Now this is Army Painters, and it is the gray one, the effects one, and we're going to show you how to do that. So you're just going to want to take a dollop, and I'll put that to the side. And then I'm going to take my regiment brush from the Army Painters well. I use a lot of their stuff in Vallejo, and we're going to want to dip it in our water white spirit stuff. And then we're going to take some of it after we mix it here a little bit, and we're just going to want to lightly, in a nice thin coat, apply this to our model. Just going to want to go everywhere. You can already see that it's going to turn them nice and gray, and if it blots up anywhere, you're just going to want to, sift it around. You just want to get everywhere that looks really metallic-y, so especially his backpack here. I'll just do this whole guy just to show you what I'm talking about. And you wanna be generous with this stuff, but just don't blob it up. It won't be good to do with the details. It'll kind of ruin stuff like the buckles right there on his jacket and his face. So just be a little light and careful with it. So right here, as you can see, let me focus in there, his pouch there. So you're just gonna want to lightly dab that full of gray and make sure you get everywhere in those nooks and crannies, and then that should be good. The same thing applies for this guy. He doesn't have a gray coat on. He just has a normal kind of jacket and trousers, so it's fairly easy to put that on him. I'm just gonna want to nice and evenly distribute. So I'm going to finish these guys up, and then we will come back once they've dried. I would let your primer, whether it's brush or spray paint, I would let it dry for about 20-25 minutes. Make sure it gets in all of those details. So we'll come back with our finished primed models. After adding our primer and we have let it dry, we are ready to move on to our second color, which is only for the gray coat, well, the Mackinac coat of the one winter infantryman, not this guy. And that color is Flat Earth. It is a Vallejo color, and this color will go directly on the wet palette. So the primer does not go on the wet palette because you don't want to thin down primer, but you do want to put the Flat Earth on there, and we're going to rub it on right now. So let's take our brush, already cleaned it, and the wet palette is going to make it nice and thin and movable. We're going to take him and make sure it focuses, and we're going to just start with a nice thin coat. Most of the time you only need one, sometimes you'll need two, and when it first goes on, it's going to look kind of like a poop and mud, and you're going to be like, oh my god, does not look good at all. And trust me, you're right. but once it dries, it'll look great. And we're just going to go over the primer, and even places that we missed with the primer. And we're just going to slide all through here. So, just get right there, and right here. You just want to make sure it's a nice thin coat, and make sure you get in between the coat where it kind of folds and creases. There we go. Get the arms. And try not to get this anywhere. It's okay to make mistakes. If you do, you can always fix that since it's an early stage in making the model. And there we go. Get right behind there. And here we are. Now I know he's not finished, but I just wanted to show you that. And back here I will line up all the colors that we do use, just so you guys can see what exactly we're going to be using. And our next color that we're going to use is, even though these are American infantry, I think they benefit really well from using this color. And that is going to be Russian uniform by Vallejo. We're just going to shake it up real quick. This one will also go on the wet palette, so we'll just put a little dollop. You don't need too much, just we'll do 1, 2, 3 drops. Make sure we don't lose any. This might even be the wrong cap. And we'll put it right next to here. So first we did that. Second, third, we'll take our other Army Painter character brush. And now this is going to be really important for what we use it for. And that is going to be, we are going to use this for the pants of the officer. Usually their pants could have been brown, khaki, green. Now this is going to look a little bit weird when we first put it on, but trust me, it'll look good. It usually does. Just make sure we get all the way around right up to his boot there. You're just gonna want to just spread this around nice. You'll probably have to double coat both of these. You might not. You might be able to get away with one solid coat. Off camera, I'll see what I need to do. And finally, there's one more use for the Russian green, and you may need a smaller brush for this. But let me zoom in here real close. That is gonna be this right here. And that's a lot on my brush. Let me take some off. Right here. And that's going to be the scarf that most of them are wearing, as well as on this guy, his mittens. You will see that this guy's wearing mittens, and that's why his hands look a little thicker than they should be. We're just going to do this in a nice Russian green. So I will come back when all this is done and dry, and we will continue on our next layer. Alrighty, so after adding our Russian uniform to represent the mittens and the scarf, as well as this guy's legs, and covering this guy's Mackinac jacket, all in flat brown with a second coat, of course, it looks pretty neat. Now, our next color we're going to do is actually going to be a mixture, and if I can find it, we're going to be doing U.S. Olive Drab, mixed with a slight hint of German uniform. Now, as you can see, we have all of our colors lined up how we used them, so we're just gotta shake these a little bit. We're just gonna put a little dab on our wet palette. Now, I wanted to say this because I didn't say it earlier, but the brush on primer does not go on the wet palette. Put it in a separate paper towel, put it in a little jar. It does not need to be thinned out any more than it already is, and we want to get a nice consistency with these two. We'll take our brush. I think for this one we won't go a regiment brush size. We're actually probably gonna go character on this one, yeah. And then we're gonna take it, just mix it in nice and good. You're gonna see it makes a little bit like a softer color, dark German uniform, which is going to be perfect for what we're using this for. And we're actually going to use this. First, we'll do this guy, and I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see. And this is going to be used really for their helmets is what we're really trying to do here. Now the strap you can cover, and I know that it looks pretty thick going on. I will clean that up because you don't want it too thick. I should have wiped off excess before I did this, but there you go. Just want to get it all over. Usually it only requires one coat because it's so dark. And then you also want to do a few other things with it. Sorry if it keeps going unfocused, that is not my intention. So he doesn't have a canteen, so you don't need to do that. But he does have a shovel holder, or I guess a spade holder. I forget what you would technically call it. So we're just going to do that as well. And we won't do the shaft of that because that will be a wooden detail later when we get to our wooden. And for some of the pouches you can also do, I would definitely do them because for some of them on the box art as well, it says that these guys would have green pouches. And since this guy's uniform is going to be a light tan, you don't want to be doing light tan pouches with that. That seems quite boring, so we're just going to pick... yeah, I'll do these ones at the bottom here is what we'll do in a dark green. These ones on the left side bottom. And that will be all good for him. Just make sure we get good coverage with that. Can always use a smaller brush, whatever you're comfortable with. So there's that. He looks really good from a distance. And then this guy as well. You're going to want to do the helmet. Now this one I'll make sure. This one I'm going to be a little bit more careful with. If you can't tell, let me move this guy out of the shot. He has those goggles, those snow goggles. And that strap goes around pretty big. And it doesn't really matter if I get it on the strap. You can be pretty sparing there. But I'm going to try not to get it on the goggles, as you really don't want those goggles to get too affected by this. It's nice all over. Make sure we get that very tip edge right there. We're just going to want to go nice. And there we go. So there's his helmet. We'll clean it up in the front a little bit too. I am sorry if the camera keeps going unfocused. I have no control over that. And phone cameras are stubborn as crap. So this guy probably won't do any dark green pouches. It just doesn't truthfully make sense. But he does have a shovel on the side. But the shovel is on the backpack fully, not in a side garment, so he's fine there. I guess just to add a little bit of color, the small pouch on the bottom of his jacket we'll do in this green. And we'll do these nice side pouches right here as well. There we go. There. And it's okay if you're just covering some of the brown that you accidentally spilled on there from earlier. Just want to do nice, even, moderately thick layers. You don't want to do too thin. If you can do it in one coat, that's great. Most people would say do it in two. I'd say do it in two, unless it's a light color. And we'll get a little bit more in that uniform right there. And there you have it. So that's this color. Actually, yeah. So that is this color. And we will move on next. Most likely, we will start doing the webbing and the jacket for the other guy. So stay tuned for that. So after letting those two dry for a little bit, we are going to be using two different colors. So our first one is going to be a little drop of Vallejo's Mahogany Brown. And we're just going to drip that on the wet palette. Doesn't have to be a whole lot at all. Just I'd say about, there we go. And we will get a little drop of water with our, this is an Army Painter Super Detail Brush. I want to be able to get some good details here, if you couldn't tell. We're going to take our miniature, and we are going to, actually, we'll work on this one first. And we're going to take a little douse, and we're going to want to do the boots. Mahogany Brown, great color to do the boots in. Really, really nice color. And you should only need one coat for the boots. If it does zoom in for me, that is. As you can see. I'll do the other one here in a second as well. Just, and we're also going to want, Now this might be hard for you guys to see, but the little strap up at the top of his helmet that we painted over earlier, that you're gonna want to do in the Mahogany Brown. Now I have a hard time seeing it with the camera here, so I will do it off camera. And then what we're gonna want to do is just clean off our brush nice in this water and then dry it off on the alcohol. And this is where our next color comes in. Probably one of the more important colors. And that is Vallejo Dark Sand. Dark Sand is going to be his base coat for his jacket, and it's going to be the webbing on some of the Mackinac coats guy. And so we're just going to get this before the camera falls, hopefully. So we'll get a nice thing of dark sand. And do not put the dark sand on the palette, as on the wet palette, that is, because it just it's already a very light material, or well, color. So when you put it on there, it's just going to become very, very runny and light, and we don't want that. I'm actually going to my, if I can find the color I was looking for, I'm going to add a little bit of darkness to my khaki, just a little bit, by adding a drop, and as if you can see this, so we did about 3 drops of that, and this is Yellow Orchard, and we're just going to want to do one little, not even a drop. We really just want to liquefy it. Alright, we'll take our super detail brush, make sure the camera doesn't fall. We're just going to mix it in nice and slowly, really wanting to get more of that beige, or my bad, dark sand in there. And that's good, silky like milk. It'll probably take 2 coats for most of this, maybe even 3. That is something I have found out the hard way. And with this guy, if I can zoom in on him, you're just really going to want to go all the way around where he needs it. Now leave his armor coat alone that goes over it. That'll be painted a separate color, I'm thinking. You're just going to want to go all nice and neat. And as you can tell, it goes on pretty thin. So even though we did a gray primer, you're definitely going to want to do a little bit more. So I'll probably do a second coat off screen is what I'm thinking I'm going to do here. Because you really want this coat, as this is pretty much his main coat. Like, this is the first thing you're going to see. So if I pull out the other guy, this guy had a main coat of this. And you can tell you definitely have to get in there a little bit darker. Let me zoom in on him for y'all. Yeah, you definitely have to do quite a few coats, make him look all nice. So that's what we're going to do for this guy. And we'll do the rest of that off camera for you guys, so we'll set him to the side. And then the webbing on this guy is what we're going to want to focus on here. Take a little bit more, get all the excess off, just take a little smidgen. And nothing on the front, I would say, truthfully needs to be done, except for I see a few pouches. But we're definitely gonna probably want to do the backpack, I'm guessing. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Actually, we'll do backpack in green brown. So what we're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to do the pouches here on the side, and definitely you're gonna need another second coat here. Now you might knock off like I just did on the jacket there. That's okay, you can always go over it. Now, painting miniatures, when you do this, you don't want to make mistakes on coats that you've already done, but it's definitely not the end of the world. It just takes time and patience, and yeah, you really just want to get some smooth edges there. That should be good for those pouches. You can always go over mistakes. It's rather have a ton of mistakes than not do a good job at all. That's how I see it. And that should be good. Those pouches we did dark, and that we did light. And I'm actually also going to do his little buttons here, but I'll do that off camera because it's so far away right now. So I'll come back to you when all this dries and we can work on our next coat. Alrighty, so after cleaning up some more of the figures, as well as adding the rest of their mahogany and dark sand details, as well as doing a second coat on his jacket. I think they're looking really good now. They're still a little shiny, but don't worry, we do have a solution for that. But not yet. Now we're doing the rest of the webbing in Vallejo's green-brown, which I will shake now and we will use. Now this one we will use on the wet palette because it's not that thin compared to dark sand. And I want you guys to know, besides the colors being set up all behind you here, I will also put them all in the description as well as what they do and their number, just so you guys know what they are. So we'll do, I'd say we'll do 1, 2, 3. That's what we'll do there. Put the bottle next to the dark sand, and for this we're going to actually go even smaller. We're going to use a Royal and Line Nickel brush with an even smaller tip than the superfine detail, which is kind of crazy. We'll get a little hint of water, and we're just going to mix it with this paint. Get it nice and silky as we want it. Get a little bit more water. That's perfect. Now you might need a few coats for this one as well, but there we go. Get all the excess off right there. And what guys should we do first with green brown? Let's do the easier one. So for this, obviously, he is very easy. You're just going to want to do the backpack in this. And this color, even though it looks very bright as of now, it's going to come out as like a slightly greener and darker khaki is what it's really going to come out as. So here, I'll step away from the camera. I really wish the zoom was better. Again, I'm sorry. This might be how it is for the first few. And is the camera falling again? It might be. Just to make sure, right? You can never be too safe. And we'll keep doing the backpack. Now you don't want to blob it up at all. You just want to nicely thin it around. And since we accidentally got some of the backpack with the flat earth we did on the coat, it'll actually cover even better. I'll come back around. Be careful with the shovel there. It's okay if you hit it, but probably not preferred. And we'll get these straps. And we will get down here, and then that is the backpack done on this guy. Nice and easy. He doesn't truthfully need anything else done on his front with any of the webbing. Backpack strips, I guess, yeah, we definitely could do that actually, my bad. There are little strips for his backpack that go kind of into his coat. I'm guessing this is what holds the whole bloody thing together. So we'll just nice and easy. Nice and easy on those straps. And that's perfect. Looking really good so far. These guys are going to look great. This guy now. This guy will be the pain of me and all of us. So first, obviously, we have to do his armored vest. And this is probably going to be the best color to do it in. I haven't truthfully seen, I don't even think the box, what does the box do? The box does a lighter version of the khaki on his coat, which is just crazy. Anyway, so you're just going to want to get all these decals. Watch out for that belt. That belt's actually going to be painted something different. So we're just going to get all these details, and that is perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We'll get some on the front and the strap that goes along right there. We will do that off camera. I'm sorry, I can't truthfully get this close because the camera's right here on a small tripod on top of a box. So it's not gonna be too easy to do this. You kind of got to get close up to do that. You want to be careful with the khaki on the coat. It's so light, it's very fragile. But yeah, so that's what we're going to use, is we're going to use green-brown. And I will come back with you after that. And we don't have too many more left, guys. We truthfully don't. So I'll see you soon. So we just finished that and we let that dry, and as a little bit of extra detail, because I like to go slightly above and beyond, I added some more mahogany brown to the backpack strap holders right on the back there, if you can see that, just to give it a little bit more detail. As you can see, we also, if I can zoom in here, focus please, we were able to get that strap nice and neat, especially the one going all the way over the shoulder. So that is perfect. So like I said, we are in the final stretch on our last couple colors. The first one that I'm going to say we're going to do is we are going to do all of our wooden details. We are going to do that with Vallejo's Orange Brown. And we'll do that. We'll just do about 1, 2. And we are going to mix that with a slight dash of red leather. Ooh, look at that. I'm knocking stuff over. Put him back up there. Hey, it's got to be live, right? Can't do any fake stuff with it. So we'll do one small drop of red leather, and then I'll put it behind there. Then we're going to want to mix that a little bit. You want to draw out more of the orange brown while still keeping a little bit of that red leather. You're really just trying to make a slightly darker orange brown, because orange brown from Vallejo is pretty orange, I'm not going to lie. So, and then once we get a good contrast there, it'll also create some interesting wood details. So we'll take this guy first and show you how to do that shovel of his. You're just going to want to gently go down the shaft of the shovel, making sure to not get on his pants, and making sure not to get on the shovel holder, because that would be a bummer. Then his rifle right here, trying to get nice and zoomed in. You're just going to want to gently, lightly go over. You're going to want to do strokes one way. So we're going to go from the top to the bottom. This will create, when we put the wash on, a slightly like wood pattern, which will be nice. And this is why we're doing the wood before doing the skin. If you did the skin right now, you would be probably very angry with yourself. And it's okay if you go over some of the metal, by the way, as well. I know that these rifles do have metal, and we do have to deal with that. So here is that. We're just going to basically do that. Nice, nice, nice. That looks pretty good if you ask me right there. And then same thing for the bar. The bar is definitely a lot different. As you know, the bar LMG was an LMG, and it was mainly had more metal on it than any wood. It definitely was one of those weapons like the grease gun that hardly had any wood, but somehow it still had some. So we'll just do nice details there. Really just want to keep that pattern going where you go the same way. It'll keep it nice, trust me. And we'll do a little bit right above the scope. Well, the iron sights, I should say. It's not really a scope. And there we go. So if I zoom in on that, as you can see, we got the buttstock, and then we got the details right there. Oh, as well as we got to get this man's shovel too. What am I thinking? So we're just going to slide that right on. And there you go. So we're going to let this dry real quick. And I'm going to come back. Now, just for advance notice, our next thing is we're going to make German gray. And that is what we're going to base the weapons in before putting a metallic kind of coat on there. So German gray is what you're going to see all the metal parts of the weapons covered in. And then we'll come back. So I'll see you on the other side. It is finally that time for us to finish off the figure entirely. And I say that with great pleasure, as we're going to finish off using normal paints and then finish in our nice, strong wash, as well as varnish. So we are currently getting 2 drops of flat flesh from Vallejo. You can use any other flesh color. I know basic skin tone works, or flat flesh from Tamiya. I know of the barbarian flesh is a good one. This one's nice and orangey. A little bit of pale mixed in too, which will be perfect for our cold, freezing American veterans. Now let's see if I can get a nice focus in here. Now this guy, you're going to want to be very careful. Use a very small brush here. We are literally just there to get the top of his head, his cheeks, eyes, and nose, and that's it. The rest is covered by a scarf. And I'm pretty sure scarves don't look like skin. As well as that, you're going to want to do his hands. Just get them nice and covered up. You don't want any gray metallic at all showing. Just get a nice big clump on there. Be careful of the jacket. I feel like I should keep saying that. Very careful, at least on this guy's jacket. The other guy has mittens on, so we don't really have to worry about him as much as we do our friend over here. And there we have it. There's his right arm. Right arm. And then this arm holding the gun. Again, very careful. Let's do the fingers first. The fingers are what are gripping the gun currently. You just want to get a nice scoop. Make sure you get all around the gun. Just truthfully try not to get any on the gun or on the sleeves. But and wow, and there we have it for this guy. Looking good, looking good. You can already tell. Now, the reason I wanted to explain this a little bit, why we put the German gray on where the metal is because metallic paints that we're going to use, which is going to be gunmetal and chainmail silver, we're going to mix these together. They do not do well by themselves. They really have to have a nice surface. Many people do black, which works great, and I'm glad it works for them. I used a gray here because I wanted the weapons to stay slightly shiny when we did them. And here we go. We're just finishing off this guy's whole face. That's looking mighty fine. Let me get a nice zoom in on that. That will be looking mighty fine. We're going to clean off our brush, and we're just going to do the chainmail right now. There's no point not to. Let the skin dry a little bit. I also wanted to say that we painted the goggles on this guy. I know it's still a little shiny and hard to see. We painted those. As you can see, they're very shiny. We painted these with X22, which is a Tamiya paint. It's clear, so it's really just clear. It's going to emphasize the shininess of goggles. I mean, it's not like the goggles were silver and not no other color. They were nice and clear because you wanted to be able to see out of them. So now we're mixing gunmetal gray with chainmail silver in our normal dish. You do not want to do that in the wet palette. The wet palette will soak up the metallic pieces, and then you'll just be putting pretty much a basic silver gray on there without any metallic chunks at all. It'll just get soaked into the sponge, and then your sponge is ruined for your wet palette. Because when you paint with a dark brown on a boot, it comes out shiny. So we're just going to take our mixture here, and you don't want to go too crazy with it. It's almost like a dry brush is what you're really looking for here. So we're just trying to get that nice, and be careful not to hit the hand that we just did. There was also a grenade on the coat guy. I will definitely make sure to get that. And again, this stand is not doing so hot. The new Citadel stand, I can't say that I'm the biggest fan of right now. I feel like it's very clumsy and just awkward to hold compared to the nice thick one. So we're going to get the shovel here. Just a nice coat. Get all around it. Make it nice and even there. That looks beautiful. And then on the bar, we really want to emphasize those metallic elements. So we're just kind of dry brushing a little bit on there. Again, not going too crazy with this stuff. There's no point. If you go too crazy, it's going to look more like a sword. Which, I mean, hey, you want to play Hail Caesar with an MG42, you go right ahead. No one will stop you. We'll get this little strap down here, and there you go for that. Once it dries, it'll become less shiny. And actually, we're going to leave the mag as that nice solid German gray. And the grenade up here, we're just going to dab a little bit silver. And there we have it. So that is our finished 2 bolt action U.S. Infantry in winter camo. Now they're not quite finished yet. I just wanted to show you that we have finished with the basic painting. So if you're still watching at this point, because I know this will be a long video, I just want to say thank you. And hopefully if you're painting along with me or you're taking notes on what you should do, you've gotten this far, because we're really hitting these last couple steps here. Brush on primer, flat, Russian. Here are all the colors we used again. These are all of our normal flat colors that we used, including our clear. I'll get that out here. Stack the ones that we used. And now we're going to let these dry for a couple more minutes, and I'll keep you distracted for a little bit. We just really want that metallic to dry. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull out Army Shade, Quick Shade, Strong Tone. And we're going to pull out Citadel Shade, Reikland Fleshshade for our flesh. And then we are also going to pull out our Quick Shade Mixing Medium. And finally, our Anti-Shine Varnish. And we're also going to give our nice brush one last dip in the water / white spirit. And clean it off, because this small brush has done its duty. Let me tell you, it is good. No more use out of you for today. We're going to pull out the regiment brush and get rid, because that's what we're doing here. We're going to be doing some nice thick paints. I think it's time. Keep dropping the figure. It's going to be loud on the recording. I feel bad. I don't know why they keep knocking out. Actually, we're going to grab... we'll grab this brush. So with our Reikland Fleshshade, I'm just going to shake mine a little bit. Just get it all mixed up. I'm going to open it. Hopefully there's some there. There is some there. We're going to take one of our brushes. Get it all in there. No point in watering this down because it's already a wash. And this guy's face, we're going to see it just transform. It's a nice dark wash if you see, if I can zoom in. Now it looks like almost like his whole face is going to turn like pulp red. Trust me, it won't. It'll dry and it'll be beautiful. And we're going to do this guy's hands because he doesn't have mittens. Make it nice, nice, nice. I'll take a little dab more. I'll do right on the arm holding the gun barrel. You really want to emphasize the knuckles. I won't be doing any highlights on these guys as of now, so yeah, really emphasize those knuckles with this wash. And there we have it. So if I zoom in on this guy, see, you really want to get those knuckles, the hand. It'll all dry perfectly. So there we go. We'll clean off this brush real quick. And there you have it. No, best part about Citadel Shades, no point in pouring it. You just open it up, use it, make sure it's tightly secured, and we'll put it back on our shelf. And we are also going to use our strong tone. This one will do. Now with this, if you watch, you always want to do a slightly more strong tone than the quick shading medium. And what we're going to do, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 for each figure is how I think of it. And for the quick shade medium, 1, 2, 3. So truthfully, 1 less than the normal quick shade. And what this is going to do is this is really, it's going to keep the same nice detailed, but it's not going to come, it's not going to come out so strong is what it's going to do. So here we go. And we will start painting this as soon as the other stuff dries. Alrighty guys, so we let the quick shade strong tone dry, and then we put on our anti-shine matte varnish, and we let that dry for a bit. And I think overall the result is quite nice. He is still a little shiny, but that'll go away. It'll take about another couple hours for that to fully go. But that's really nice, guys. Like, I have nothing really else to say. These are some nice winter infantry. These are the two that we did today and that the video will be on. Here's some that dried a while ago, so that I brought up earlier. If it'll zoom in, you see. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Overall, Warlord games, these are great figures. The metal works really well. All the paints are listed below because the paints work excellent. And yeah, I will see you in the next how to paint. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.